eMeet is one of those smaller companies that popped up during the pandemic to fill the newly contested webcam space left behind as demand rose and the best webcams started going out of stock. Before now, it released 3 cameras, 2 of which are cheap Logitech C920 clones and one of which is a Logitech C920 clone with built-in speakers for conference calls. I'd actually previously looked at the company's C960 camera and thought the quality wasn't high enough to warrant a full review. This is a $199 device, putting it in firm competition with premium devices like the Razer Kiyo Pro and the Dell Ultra Sharp webcam. While it does have high-quality microphones and a built-in speaker that give it some conference call utility, its poor visual fidelity and bare-bones software hardly justify its high price point, especially when it's being sold as a premium webcam and not a budget speakerphone. Well-lit room, as it costs $200. I tested the eMeet Jupiter webcam against both the Razer Kiyo Pro and the Dell Ultra Sharp webcams, premium devices from much more well-owned brands that have the same price tag. The sky was overcast on the day I tested, but even with my blinds open and most of my home office's ambient light sources turned on, the Jupiter webcam's picture was just as grainy, sharp, and overall cheap as on $30 devices I've seen from this company. Like the eMeet C960, the field of view on the Jupiter webcam is slightly wider than the competition's, but the fidelity isn't even in the same class. The artifacting is just too severe for it to be a serious visual fidelity contender in this price range, at least under what I consider to be optimal lighting conditions. Low light room. While the Jupiter's picture was closer to its name brand rivals in low light, it had trouble contending with premium features like the Razer Kiyo Pro's Light Center. That particular camera barely showed any artifacting when I closed my blinds and turned off all ambient light sources except for my main desktop monitor. The Dell Ultra Sharp webcam did show more artifacting here than it did under normal conditions, but not to the same extent as the Jupiter. Both competing cameras also maintain more accurate colors and weren't as overly sharp as the Jupiter. The artifacting on the Jupiter webcam is least noticeable in heavy light, which I tested by pointing my webcam directly at my window. Unfortunately, not much else is noticeable either. Its picture under these conditions was far from usable, although the Razer Kiyo Pro also suffered from a similar issue. Still, the Dell Ultra Sharp webcam shows the kind of quality you can get under extremely bright conditions with other options at this price point. To the Jupiter webcam's credit, its ability to capture the view through my window is impressive, as it's not uncommon for rivals to display windows as blank sheets of white. Unfortunately, that particular feature is more useful to a photographer than to someone buying a camera to video conference with. The eMeet Jupiter is a hefty, sturdy device that looks a bit like a miniature camera from a cartoon or an old-fashioned camcorder. In other words, it's a long rectangle with a lens on front. It's a genuinely charming appearance that also makes sense, as that extra space makes room for the eMeet Jupiter's built-in top-firing speaker. Unfortunately, the downside of having such a large device is that it's not very posable. The Jupiter can tilt upwards and can only tilt downwards at about a 45-degree angle. It can rotate side to side, but also only to about a 45-degree angle. On the plus side, the Jupiter does come with a lens cover, although it's not always the prettiest solution as it's constantly dangling from the Jupiter on a string that's permanently attached to the back of the device. The eMeet webcam markets itself as having AI auto-framing, but in my experience, it's just an auto-zoom function that's sometimes a little too keen to adjust the zoom when it doesn't need to. When it's working best, the auto-zoom simply involves zooming the frame to place you inside it whenever you reach the far edge of its field of vision. If another subject appears out of view, it will also zoom out to show that subject. You can also manually adjust the framing in the eMeet Link app via 4 large arrow buttons. But, importantly, none of these features will work if the camera is already at its maximum field of view. They also won't work if you don't have the eMeet Link app open. Thank you everyone for watching us till the end. It would be a great pleasure for us if you were a little help with this video. Comment us below.